So I want to take a minute and review that cartoon that we looked at yesterday. And in this particular picture, we saw seafloor spreading is tearing me apart. Help. And if you recall, here we have in the very beginning our land, and we can think of this, if we go back to Pangea, as this is South America, and this is Africa. And over time, what began to happen is we had a convection current start down here, and it just began to spread these apart. And you'll see that a rift began to form as this continued to spread apart. And eventually that rift ended up creating water filled in that rift area in between, and we have a ocean. And now South America and Africa are no longer connected. And so here we generated new ocean through that process of seafloor spreading. But it turns out that the surface of the earth is not getting any bigger. So if here we're creating ocean, somewhere else we have to be recycling it. And that's what this part is about, subduction. It says trying to make a pancake out of me. So here I have an ocean that's progressively getting smaller through a process referred to as subduction, and that's what we're going to be talking about next. And if you look at this, you can see in this picture, in the other picture, we had a place where things were spreading apart. In this one, we have a picture of where things are coming together. If I could picture a convection current underneath here, I know the convection currents are moving that direction, making them move together. And so you can see as they continue to move together, we have less ocean until eventually the ocean is completely gone. One of the really neat effects of subduction is here, as this ocean floor is getting recycled back into the earth, as it descends back into the mantle, it gets hot. And between melting points, etc., some of this rock begins to melt as it goes close down, farther into the mantle. And when it melts, some of it gets loose and comes back up. And this is what generates this volcano over here on this continent. And so here we have a volcano here on this continent. Now this is what is creating Mount St. Helens. Is a process just like this. Of course, this image is kind of flipped, but in Mount St. Helens, we have sort of like, it's called the Juan de Fuca. It's really close to the Pacific plate, but it's going underneath North America and making mountains on the western coastline of North America. And we'll look at that in a lot more detail eventually. So for our notes on here, we're going to write down subduction happens at trenches. So if I go subduction, just a little note, subduction is a process. It is the opposite process of seafloor spreading. So seafloor spreading is a process, subduction is a process. They're both things that happen. Well, remember, seafloor spreading happens at mid-ocean ridges or rift valleys. Subduction happens at trenches. That's a feature. It's a place. So subduction is a process where ocean floor sinks beneath a trench and back into the mantle. And again, I have this little stamp here that says, let's work together, because it's important to know that seafloor spreading and subduction work together to change the size and the shapes of the oceans. But so for the amount of crust that's created, the same amount has to be destroyed or recycled somewhere else. And if we look at this picture, here we have seafloor spreading happening here. And I'm just going to write SFS for seafloor spreading. And then the opposite process is happening over here, subduction. Where is seafloor spreading happening at? Seafloor spreading is happening at the mid-ocean ridges or the Rift Valley. Where is subduction happening at? Subduction is happening at trenches. I have found that just making sure you associate the right vocabulary words, associating the word subduction with trenches, and seafloor spreading with rift valleys, can sometimes get people a little off. The definitions, you know, a trench, the definition will say it's a deep valley. A rift valley is a valley. So you have to get your two valleys straight. The trench is a really deep valley where old sea floor is being consumed back into the mantle, whereas a rift valley is where things are moving apart, creating seafloor. By the way, these trenches end up forming some of the deepest parts of the ocean floor. So we will stop here with the notes and we'll watch a few summary videos before we move on.